So we're just painting up some of these war galleys from the manowar base set. These are going to be the pirate galleys. And I'm just finishing off the grey. I'm not using black as a base coat. Don't use black as a base coat, because you can't shade it. If you use Eshin Grey, at least you can still go over it with null and oil to get some shade into it. And we're batch painting 6 at the same time, which makes more sense because they're all pretty simple. I think these are all just about done. Although this is the first colour on, I'm not just throwing it everywhere. I'm trying to at least place it in to areas where it needs to go. The aim is to do them like the heavy metal versions are in the painting guide. That nice black and red effect with the gold is what we're going after. I think next I'm going to do the decks, which I can just about make out. There's some sort of light wood colour. Might just go for Zandri Dust. Using a little wet palette, which I've found to be pretty useful for keeping the paints a bit more active for longer. And now we're going to have to start being careful. I mean, you will make mistakes as you go, but you can always go back and correct it, which is the way I tend to do my painting. This looks to be the right colour. You can make less mistakes if you get less paint up the length of the brush. If you try and keep the paint down low, because often if you get paint up high, then you can end up just accidentally touching something with the upper part of the brush, and then that's it. And I've got these little cocktail sticks through the ships to help me hold them. There's a hole through the mould to take the mast later, but it's actually working quite well just for a cocktail stick. It's pretty good. And then up on this little bit of the deck there. Yeah, the only bit I'm going to struggle to get to is this at the back, which maybe should have done this colour first, I don't know. So I'm just going to try and dab paint into it to try and get the colour, to get nice stability. If you just get both hands on the desk, you can get pretty good control that way. Mephiston Red. Just mix it back in on top of where I've already got some paint on the palette. So what I'm trying to do now is come down sort of on the forward side of these. We'll come down like one side of them first. And then we'll come down the other side. And we may well have to do a tidy up around these as well, because these are, it's going to be easy to go over the edge with these. But you just want to make sure you come down the edges at least. It's not so difficult going over the outer face of them, but you want to get those edges done as well. And then you can come back and do the middle. Now the more unsupported your hand is, the more wobbly you get. It's kind of working. You can see it already. I don't see the back end of the boats in the example art, so I'm just going to pick out this rudder, if I can call it that, with the red. Right, so in here now, up to the top. It reverses to red in the recess. You can't go wrong with red and black as a colour scheme. It's always a good scheme. Try and get in neatly there. Yeah, there should be a little bit of red on that corner. You can see in some places that it's going to need another coat to try and build up that colour. Getting light into these things is the tricky bit as well. I've got one of these LED lamp things that you can kind of bend into position above you, which does help. Because you really do need to see what you're doing. The more light you can get into it, the better. And then I'm just going to try and do this is where you need a brush with a good point on it. Right, that's that. I think that's it, is it? I think that's it. Have I got an opportunity now just to go over that with another bit of splodge of red on there, just to strengthen that up a bit. Just try and spot any little missed areas. Okay, I'm just looking at the guide again. Sort of doing it right. What I'll do now is I'll go and do the rest of the reds, and then we'll come back and have a look at the metal. So time has passed and I have finished that red layer, and we can tidy that up if we make any mistakes along the way, but we've got them all done to that stage now. So now we're just about to have a go getting the metal done. This is just the Leadbelcher for the steel. And one thing I'm not going to do is use a good brush for this. I'm going to use an older brush for sure. And no palette either. I'm just dabbing some out on my cotton mat below that I've already wrecked with paint anyway. Maybe slightly tricky painting the metal onto the lighter undercoat. It doesn't feel like it's going on very well. Quite tricky. Very good. Not great. Well, that's what the official ones look like, and then I'm going to try and do this this bit on the deck here. So around the edge of it first, And then we're just going to blob in some paint into the holes. That's another one done. Just remember to wash the brush. Right, so I'll do the next 3 off camera just to speed it along. So what I'm going to do just now is just use a bit of black. I said I wouldn't use any black, but I'm going to use a bit of black just on the underside of where the oars are. Because these aren't actually, well, they're not supported by anything, they're just above the water. So what I'm going to do is just add some black onto those triangles there, just so that it feels like there's a bit of a shadow under them. I think the oars are meant to be gold, looking at the heavy metal examples, the official ones, so we'll go with the gold. I'm not sure how practical that would be for the pirates, but I'm guessing the pirates are a bit like that, show off. So I'll do the rest of these off camera. Okay, so with that done, we're about to do the gold, but I think first, because we're painting onto that light grey primer, I think I'm just going to use a bit of this, well, it's XV88, it's called, just as a bit of a first layer before putting on the gold, because I might struggle to get the coverage on this light undercoated oars and ram's head, etc. We'll see how well it goes on. Depending on how thin I've got it, it's going to be a struggle to get it on this. But and it'll just give a better undercoat for the gold colour that we'll be adding next. Right, so now I'll have a go at this ram's head. And you can see the mould lines. Tricky to get rid of these, especially on the smaller models like that, and maybe not worth the time it would take to do it, but you notice them when you're looking at them close like this. And again, with some of these, well, most of these older models, especially the early plastics, the details are a little bit mushy, not so easy to pick out, and then I always feel compelled to try and get all these little white bits covered up. Potentially a unnecessary step if your gold paint can just go right on to the lightly coloured primer. If that works, then great, but I'm just thinking that the white's going to show through, or the light grey is going to show through, and it's going to be difficult to cover it up. It is almost done once we get the gold, the proper gold onto it, but essentially that's the thing done. Okay, so time for the gold to go on. Again, just using an older brush for this. And then we're just going to lump that on top of our base coat. This is Balthasar Gold, which might be the old name. Like that. And then the cannon. As well. And now for the ram's head. So just 5 more to do, and We'll take a look once we've done that.